good evening, everybody, or good afternoon if you happen to be watching this during the day. I'm Pat Murray, the host of TV SKYWRITER, where I introduce you to really cool people that I want you to know. I got to start the show off a little different today. First, I do have to say congratulations to my niece, Jahan, who is now an ordained priest. I am so impressed. The celebration, the ordination was beautiful. I had to watch from a distance. As you know, I'm from Chicago. As you might know if you know me, I'm from Chicago. So my niece was in the Chicago area being ordained as a priest today. I watched it and was moved to tears. It's beautiful. We're all so very proud of you, Jahan. Thumbs up to Cookie and Donald and Jason and Leanne and Ethan and everybody involved. Now, to start the show, I'm going to be introducing you to a singer and songwriter that I met, what was it, a couple of Saturdays ago. We were both hired by Downtown Durham Inc. to entertain the crowd downtown for a small shop. What is it called? Small? Hopefully Brian can correct me. Anyway, it was a really fun event where we played music. I was DJing as DJ Pitty Pat, and then I was followed by Bryant Williams, but I will be calling him Bryant Nfinity because that is his stage name. So let us meet Mr. Bryant Nfinity. Hey, it's time for TV SKYWRITER. Bryant, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Now, what was that we were playing for? It was
It
Shop
was
Small
Shop
Saturday,
Small, yeah, Shop Small Saturday, and it
right?
was like to
And so,
support local businesses in Durham.
yes, and we were both hired to play by. I want to give a huge thumbs up and a thank you to Downtown Durham Inc. because without them, I might not have met you. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're cool. Like they set up everything so like nice. Like I love like the tree lighting because like they put this like pretty blue lights all on the trees like for
Mhm.
Christmas downtown. It looked very scenic, and like it was so like nice to look at.
It was very nice. And I enjoyed meeting you because I got to hear you sing. I admired your setup because you had your laptop, you had, I don't know what you had. You had some devices that were playing music.
A lot of
Um,
devices.
Yeah, I don't know what you had. You can explain later, but what I really liked was the fact that you were recording yourself because young folks today are really into marketing. And yeah, so I've got to learn from you young folks because the marketing is key if you want to get out there.
Oh, for
So
sure.
absolutely. So let's start out. Now you're not a Durhamite, right? You're from Clayton?
Yeah, I live in Clayton, North Carolina, and still do. Trying to move to Raleigh, but yeah, live in Clayton right now.
Mhm.
And yeah, wasn't born in Durham, but like I visit Durham like occasionally for like events
Mhm.
like this. So yeah, like this this is like the first time. I remember the first time I actually performed in downtown Durham. That was the first time I was actually ever been to downtown Durham. I've never seen it before. And then I go to
Okay.
downtown Durham and I'm like, this is very lively. Everybody here
Mhm.
is super nice. Like it all, and I'm like, the city is so pretty. Like, oh my God. And like when I saw the blue that blue street, not the blue street light, but it's like the bridge where you're driving
Mhm,
into
mhm.
Durham.
Oh, right,
Lights.
right. R. Kelly Bryant Bridge, right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it looked
Now,
really
how
cool.
I'm curious, so if you're in Clayton, how did you make Downtown Durham Inc. aware of you?
Oh, I saw them on Instagram and then I contacted them when I saw them on Instagram. And so when I saw them on Instagram, I'm like, this is like something I could do. They had something called the Durham Streetery. That is basically the
Mhm,
organization that plans out all these events that people in downtown Durham do as far as like singing and like as far as like doing events that promote like local businesses and help get them like more um, people to come. They've been setting that up. They've basically been in charge of like planning the entertainment events. I contacted them. I sent them basically my YouTube channel, which is Bryant Nfinity, by the way, and my TikTok, which is also Bryant Nfinity, and then my Instagram, which is also Bryant Nfinity,
mhm.
and also Infinity is spelled Nfinity. I don't spell it in a regular way. Anyway, I sent them my
How
socials.
did you come up with that? I like that.
It booked me. I came up with the name Bryant Nfinity. It's kind of a long story, but basically, like I've had limits placed on me, like as far as like to what I can do, and I felt like, what if there were no limits? And so I came up with the name Bryant Nfinity. Basically,
Love it.
it's a version of me where I feel limitless, where there's nothing I can't do, where basically I'm in sole control and like I am at my best. It's
I
just a
love
bit
that.
like I'm paraphrasing, like because there's like a much deeper meaning to it, but like
Mhm.
that's all I have time to explain right now.
No,
But
it's
yeah,
really
like
good because see, that's another thing that I'm trying to learn from you young folks because you saw this on Instagram and didn't hesitate to contact them. Just like when I told you that I have this show, and I thought maybe, down the road, you'd maybe contact me, maybe next year or whatever. You contacted me and like, ready to go. Let's do the
yeah,
interview. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay. I
hmm
like that. That's how you get things done.
yes. I don't like to wait around for opportunities because if you do, they're gonna be gone. So anytime someone offers me an opportunity, I go for it as quickly as possible. And like I don't like to just wait on stuff because like I've had a history of like waiting on stuff and then missing opportunities. I'm like, can't be doing that because like honestly, that's like money like you could be losing. Like you can't be just waiting on stuff. Like you
Mhm.
gotta be on top of it.
Exactly. And actually, I do like to do that myself, even though I'm acting like I don't, but I actually do. I actually got hooked up with Downtown Drumming because I had an idea. I wanted to play music at the bus station on Fridays. I thought that would be a nice way to start the weekend for the hardworking people with some nice music. And it took a couple of years for the idea to get to the right person. And finally, someone at Downtown Durham Inc. said, "Oh, let's do it." And they hired me to,
Mhm.
to play music at the bus station on third Fridays. And yeah, so like you said, you have to make your own opportunities.
Yes,
You have to actually, the trick is you have to be able to identify opportunities
that
and don't
too.
be afraid to jump on them with both feet.
Yeah.
Seriously. So I checked out your YouTube channel. Now, checking out your website and checking out your Instagram is one thing because they contain songs that your original music. But because I started out with jazz, very often when I hear a new artist, I want to hear them do a song that I already know. So that somehow that's my way of kind of judging how I think they sound when I hear them doing a song by someone I already know. Like I was thrilled that you did a song by Nina Simone. I couldn't believe that. In fact, you performed it a couple of weeks ago and you sounded great.
Thank
You
you.
sounded really great. So check out the YouTube channel, folks, because you get
Please
to
do.
hear Bryant not only do his original music, but also songs that you might already know. Songs by Adele. What's that song
Mhm.
by Khalid? Talk. Love that.
Oh yeah, Khalid. Can we just talk? I, I don't know the other words. I don't want to mess them up while I'm live. All I know is the
Oh,
chorus.
but you know what you did that he didn't do was that you changed the key. You went up like two or three times. I don't remember
hmm
that happening on the record.
I,
I'm
I
saying
I like to
record.
change my covers up and like do something unexpected because like when you hear a cover, you're not expecting to hear it sound like the original. You want to see a twist on it to make you like the original song
Exactly.
better. And so like when I heard the song, like there were some parts of it like I thought, I don't want to say boring, but I thought probably could have been like I don't want to say improved upon because it was a good song, but I want to say like elevated and also want to make it so it fit my voice. And so what I would
Hmm.
do is I just
Hmm.
decide, I'm gonna raise the key. And I got the idea from listening to Love on Top and how Beyonce just goes higher and higher and higher.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
like and like the song "Can We Just Talk" and "Love on Top," they start in the same key. Actually, I believe it's C major, and so I just kept going up and up and up and up and up and higher and higher and higher and higher.
It added more emotion to the song.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and
So,
like
and
that's
I think if he heard it, he'd probably say, "Oh shoot, why didn't I do that? It's too late now.
he
It
might
is too
like he
late
probably
now."
gets a bunch of covers of his song and probably it might not like care as much because like artists they can sometimes get jaded, especially when they're really
Mhm.
successful. Like they hear
Mhm.
their songs all the time. Like, it's another one of these artists covering my song. Good job, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I saw on YouTube there were two videos that really interested me. I saw that you won Clayton Idol in 2018. You won a bunch of money, and
Yes.
I think you won like a recording contract or something.
Yeah. Basic.
How did that
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
out?
Yeah. It's a long story, but I'm gonna get to it. I won a recording contract with this drummer. His name was Hampton. I think he was like Ivan Hampton. And he was actually a
Okay.
drummer that worked with Stevie Wonder and Beyonce. He was also a drummer and music producer. He had a studio
Mm,
in Clayton, North Carolina called Hampton Industries. I met him and shook his hand. And like he gave me the check too. And like he was super impressed with the song I auditioned with, which was A Song for You by Donny Hathaway.
mhm.
And but the thing is, he got into some trouble when he was
Oh,
supposed to work with me, and like it was bad. Like he basically got me tooed. Yeah, he was
oh,
accused of like sexual assault, and so I couldn't work with
oh,
him. And so the town of Clayton moved me to a different studio, and
yeah.
then when I was working with that producer, like I had like 5 or 6 sessions. We were trying to work on like a song idea, but then the producer ghosted me.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh
like
well.
he stopped responding to my emails, and I sent him like 5 emails, and like he was
Mhm.
still able to post on Facebook, and like, oh well, I'm not in the mood to be chasing down producers. Like, hey, work with me.
Yeah.
Like, no, like,
I guess the music business is like that sometimes. People are just inconsiderate sometimes, and sometimes they're just goofy,
oh
you
yeah.
know. And you can't force them to, you know. So another video that I saw, you were singing the national anthem at a baseball game. I was trying to figure out where were you when you were singing it was, and you did a beautiful rendition, by the way.
Thank you. I was at the Mudcats baseball game, and I did an audition to sing it, and then they let me
Mhm,
sing it, and then I was like, ooh, I'm gonna sing this. But when I did the audition at first I thought my audition wasn't good because I was singing the freezing cold, and like
mhm,
it was so cold that my like I couldn't even like do riffs because it was that cold,
mhm.
and like I couldn't even feel my
Wow.
tongue, and like my hands were getting numb too. So I couldn't even feel like my vocal cords like moving as
Mhm,
well as I was like singing, and so I thought I wasn't good. But then I hear it on video, and I realized, wait a minute, that's actually very good. But I didn't realize it at
mhm,
first because I just knew that I was too cold to do what I wanted to
mhm.
do. And then then once they picked me, I was super thrilled, and then I get to sing it for the
Nice,
Mudcats, which is great.
nice. If you don't mind my asking, I always wonder when a singer sings the national anthem without, like a band or whatever. I always wonder because it's a hard song to sing. It starts low and goes really high. I don't know how to say that musically, but how do you choose where to start? Because
See,
I've heard singers start too high and then they get really embarrassed at the end because they can't hit the so how do you know
well,
where to start? What
I
note?
know where to start because I understand because I have a understanding of music theory because I've been in music classes my entire life up until the pandemic, and I understood music theory and I knew what key I wanted to be in. So I wanted to do I believe this is either trying to see. Oh say oh I'm gonna say that's A major, Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's what I started in. And I knew that when I go to the chorus, I'm gonna have to go, and the rockets regulate. And so I would have to belt that, and I realized, so if it's gonna start at A3, oh say, oh that that's gonna be A3, and then
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to belt at A4, and that'll be like, oh, that'll be closer to what it is. That's what I'd be belting at.
Actually, you handle high notes really well, though. So I guess it wouldn't be a big problem for you because I'm not really good at this. You're a tenor? Are you a baritone? Wait,
Something like
tenor,
that.
right? Yeah.
In simple terms, yes, but
Okay.
actually, my voice is like leggero tenor. That's basically like a word for like smooth and connected, like tenor voice. And what they mean by connected is that basically my range extends into a higher octave, like in mezzo soprano range, because I can
Whoa,
actually hit notes like this, like ha ha.
that's
That's what
really
I'd be
high.
saying. So
Hmm.
my voice extends into that upper range,
Hmm.
and that's how my voice works because I can talk low, 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 low. But then also go like freakishly high too because my voice is extending into that
Hmm.
range. Like my voice doesn't just sit that high because people hear me sing sometimes and be like, "Oh my God, he must talk super high." And like, no, it's not always like that. Basically, my voice has can extend into that range. That's what the exact terminology for what my voice type is leggero tenor. But like
Okay.
in short terms, it's just a tenor.
So is that training or is that practice or both?
Both. Originally, when I was first trying to learn how to sing, I just assumed I was a tenor or countertenor because my voice was because I knew I could go high, but my voice didn't like sit that high. I had to like put some effort into it. I had to deliberately bring my tone up that high.
Hmm.
And so when I was studying my voice, like I researched hundreds of singers, like hundreds and hundreds of singers and voice
Hmm.
coaches. I learned how to sing from voice coaches on YouTube mainly. I did have a voice coach later on, but I already knew how to sing beforehand, and he was just like making me better. But
Hmm.
I, but when I was learning how to sing, like I had there's three things I wanted. I wanted range, I wanted power, and I wanted to do
Hmm.
riffs. And so like
Okay.
I taught myself the range, I added the
Hmm.
power, and then for the riffs, like I listened to Christina Aguilera,
Hmm.
the Clark sisters, I listened to Jessie J, um, Beyonce, Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, Stevie Wonder to learn my riffs as well. And then that's how I was able to do the oh. So I was able to learn all that just by
Hmm.
listening to them and copying exactly what they do. And then also doing voice exercises. A lot of singers don't talk about this, but I do about 2 hours of voice exercises every week, and so it's basically
Wow.
just me doing a bunch of scales, but it's like very specific scales, humming, lip rolls, lip trills. Lip trills are, by the way, that's like, brrrr, that's like a lip trill. And so just
Hmm.
doing that all the time and focusing on like my pitch and my breathing. Like singing is a
Hmm.
discipline. Like a lot of singers like to pretend that they just wake up singing like this, and I'm like, no, they don't.
Nothing
Like
to
the
it.
professionals will never explain how they sound that way. It's just they're just oh, God gave me a gift, and like I've heard that explanation every time. I know He gave you a gift, but like you had to work and improve that gift. Like
Hmm.
what
Hmm.
else did you do? Because I know you don't just wake up being able to hit Wilson notes and not like go through hours and hours of training yourself to do it and researching it. Like
Hmm.
singers don't just wake up like this. Like it's rare. Like only a handful of singers, like Jennifer Hudson, Patti LaBelle, they wake up doing this. They don't be doing the voice exercises, but like Ariana Grande, Sam Smith, they actually do the training for it. And
Hmm.
like there's some singers that don't need the training, but there's others that do need it. I'm not saying
Hmm.
that those artists do need it or like shouldn't use training, but I'm saying is like every artist doesn't isn't just born able to do this. Like they had to put in the effort to make themselves
Mhm.
sound this good. Because I wasn't always singing like this because I knew I could sing a little bit, but I wanted to get better, and so I did a whole bunch of research on voice technique and
Mhm.
vocal pedagogy. That's the word for basically the science and art of the voice combined.
Okay.
It's like the study of voice, and like I was just putting all my effort into learning how to do that, and then that's how I learned how to sing.
Nice. I'm glad you explained it because, like you said, most singers won't admit that they work at what they're doing. So I really, really appreciate that. Do you ever sing with bands? Because when you were singing, downtown Durham, you had your music on your computer and it was hooked up to this red thing. What was that
Yeah,
red thing? That
it's
like a mixer or something? Or
this right here. This is an audio interface. Singers they use this all the time to edit their music, and like a lot of artists, like during the pandemic, they record from home, and when they record from home, they use this audio interface. And the audio interface basically is a device um, that allows you to connect high quality microphones to your computer and record on them and
oh,
edit music. And like, because if you try to use your desktop computer, like their sound cards are often not capable of recording microphones, like especially like super high end microphones, like $2,000 microphones, like stuff like that. Like it's not capable of
mhm.
doing that. It doesn't even have the ports to do that. Like because this has like the ports right here and like adapter. And like this is not like a sponsored video for Scarlet Focus, right? But if they do want to sponsor me, hey. But like
So
that's
the
what
so
it
the mic
does.
goes in so the mic goes into the Focusrite and then the Focusrite into the computer.
Yeah, just like that.
Okay.
And then I plug in
Smart.
headphones into that too.
Very smart. Okay. I really liked your hookup. Do you ever sing with bands too though, or only for now by yourself?
Um, Only one time I've sang with a band ever, and well, actually, technically two. If there was like there are technically two times. The very first time I sang with a band was during like chorus because I was in chorus during high school. And we did like a concert with the school band and the chorus, and so I was singing
Okay.
in the choir, doing chorus, and then
Mhm.
also um, I did this open mic night at this bar in Raleigh, and
Mhm.
they had a band, and this is a very good band because they could improvise right on the spot, learn the chords in like 10 minutes to like the song that I wanted to sing,
Mhm.
and I was singing Pretty Wings by Maxwell, and then that was the only time I sing with a band. I prefer to have a band, but for an artist
Mhm.
like myself who is very new and up and coming, it's not going to be like, first of all, where do you find band members? And also, how do you find time to practice with them? Because, like, these band members got jobs, they got families, a lot of them are not full time musicians, so, like, it's hard to
Mhm.
find and plan it. Then you also have to pay them, and it's like, four to five other
Oh,
people, and like your
wait a
gig,
minute.
you only get like $100 or something, and like
Mhm.
it's not really much to go around. So like it's very hard for like artists that's starting out to go find a band. So I would love to perform with a band, but that's later down the road when these shows become bigger and bigger.
Well, actually, what you're saying makes a lot of sense because you're making your start now. You have your own music tracks. So I can imagine there's going to be a time when people will go to you. You know what I
I
mean? They're going to say, "Oh, you're blowing
hope.
up. I want to catch a ride." And then I'll bet you'll be able to get a band that way. I'm not sure if that's how it works, but I can imagine it working that way. You get up to a point where your name is out there, then you get to the point where you have to have a band, or like I said, people will approach you saying, "I want to play guitar for you or bass or whatever." That's what I'm
Right.
imagining. Yeah.
Like either
So.
that or like something happens like my music blows up and then I start making like millions of dollars off of one song, then be like, okay, I can just easily hire any musician, give them a good salary, and make them a full time musician because there's a lot of musicians that only just want to play drums or just only want to do
Mhm.
like piano, guitar, violin, whatever instrument they play. They're just dying
Mhm.
for that one opportunity, and I just want to be that artist that like expands to that level and just gives them that opportunity because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I now have money to pay all these people and I can actually give them a good salary because I don't just want to give them like $5 or $10. Like nah,
Oh
they
no.
work too hard for that. So like I want to be able to support them because I can't really do a show without the band. So
Mhm.
like I need to wait till I'm more established before I can do that.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to keep up with you and make sure that I don't lose sight of you so that when you blow up I'll say, "I remember Bryant when he was Bryant Williams, Bryant
And
Nfinity
I
now." Oh, I forgot to mention this. I wanted to mention this when we were talking about the baseball game that you sang the national anthem. The Durham Bulls, they have the same thing where they have auditions for people singing the national anthem. So you might want to
didn't
find
know
out when
that.
that is. Because I,
I'm gonna
I
do that.
actually, I attended one of the auditions, and one thing and it was cold because I guess the baseball season starts in, I don't know, March or April or something before it gets really warm. And I do remember it being cold. I also remember a couple of people running away in tears because I can imagine it's really scary to sing in front of a bunch of people you don't know,
Yeah,
and yeah, a
sometimes
couple of
it can be
people just
overwhelming.
broke down and just ran away crying. And I was like, bless their hearts. That's really a hard thing to do. Now, how did
Yeah.
you feel when you sang at the Mudcats game?
All I knew was that I better not mess up the lyrics. That's the only thing I cared about. Do not mess up the
Mhm,
lyrics. And so that's all I
mhm.
focused on was memorizing those lyrics and I'd be good. Because I was not fitting to mess up the national anthem like millions of other artists have done before. Like I would not be the one. like
I think it's a
I would
matter of
not.
nerves.
What?
Yeah, I've seen people mess up the national anthem, and I think it's nerves. Um,
It
your
is.
mind goes blank,
And then
and it,
there's
it can happen. It can happen to anyone.
Yeah, and then there's like artists that want to change it too much, and like,
Mm,
okay, we're gonna do up tempo national anthem, like, oh say, can you see? It's not that kind of song. Like, just
mhm,
sing it, like, keep it close to the original. Like, add a riff here or there, like, change a few
mhm,
notes, but don't overdo it. Like, you mess it up, that's going to like hurt the credibility of your career
mhm,
forever, and then like nobody will ever ask you to sing it again. And like, nah, like I want to get to the point where I could sing this at the Super Bowl or sing
mhm.
this like
Ooh.
at like a presidential inauguration. Like I want to get to that point, and like I can't be messing it up this early before I can get there. Like, nah, I gotta really make sure that when I sing it, it's got to be amazing
Mhm.
every time. Like I can't be messing that up.
Well, I do know now you weren't even thought of when people started changing the national anthem to make it more of a personal piece. Way back in I remember when it happened too. It was the late 1960s. I was still a kid. And a lot of people give Marvin Gaye credit for changing, making the national anthem like his own song. Actually, it was Jose Feliciano. And he's a very soulful Puerto Rican, I'm just going to say pop singer because he sings all different kinds of music and he plays guitar. And he was the first one to do a soul rendition of the national anthem. And do you know he got death threats because no one had ever heard anybody sing the national anthem in a non traditional way. He was the very first, and he got death threats. It was amazing. I could not believe that. And then Marvin Gaye came along, I guess maybe a couple years later, a few years later, and I think he got more credit. It was more accepted by then. And he made it like a love song, and people were swooning. They're like, "Oh my God, never heard the national anthem like that." But yet now it's like a big deal,
It's
and
a
it's a big
big
honor.
risk when you want to change it up. Like I remember Fergie's national anthem. Like I'm a huge Fergie fan. But basically she said that she wanted to change the national anthem and
Oh,
like a little bit. She wanted to make it her own, but
mhm.
it to be polite, it was not received well.
Wow. Yeah, you're not supposed to take it home. I
Hmm.
mean, just change it around a little bit, but don't like make it your own to the point where nobody knows what you're singing. And I've also heard people really mess it up bad. Like that lady, she's like a comedian or I forget her name.
Uh,
She's a
I think it was
actress, Roseanne Barr.
oh, could have been. I might be getting the wrong person, but it was. I think it was like an SNL skit where somebody purposely messed up the national anthem, and she was just like screaming it. Like,
Actually, when Roseanne Barr did it, she messed it up on purpose and people were horrified. They probably did make fun of her on Saturday Night Live, but for real, people could not believe what she was doing. She must have been under some kind of influence. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything. But back to you. What are your future plans as a singer and how do people make it nowadays? Because, back in my day, you put out albums and then cassettes and then CDs. And now I'm frustrated because people aren't putting out CDs. I don't know how to deal with that fact. So tell me how the musicians are making it nowadays.
um, hmm, I'd say a lot of musicians they're relying on streams, but the streams don't make as much money because you only get paid 0.0069 of a penny on Spotify. A lot of
Wait, wait,
aggregators
wait. Say that again.
on Spotify you get paid 0.0069 of a penny, so that's one fourth of a penny.
Not even a penny.
Yeah, that's about one fourth of a penny that these artists will get paid
Mm,
per song, and
mm,
so like you will need to have millions of streams. Like for example, like Ariana Grande is one of the most streamed artists in the world.
mhm.
She has over 28 billion streams. If you do the math, that's about
Ooh,
$193 million total since her debut till now that she's made off of streams. But still, that's 28 billion. You know how much work would have to go into making songs that 28 billion people have listened to. Well, not 28 billion
it's
people, but like 7 billion people have listened to those songs 28
there's
billion
only
times.
7 billion people on the planet.
Yeah. And so, like, you know how much
Whoa,
marketing would have to go into getting your music heard to that degree.
for
Like, it's an
real.
extreme amount. That's an extreme level. And, like, in order to make money as, like, an artist, and in order to really thrive, you need to already be famous. You must have a social media presence. Otherwise, you're going to go nowhere and no one will hear your music. And you
Hmm.
also have to perform because fans, if you want to make new fans, performing is the easiest way to do it. Because like it's easy to just hear like a cover song or like an advertisement on like Facebook and see, oh my
Hmm.
God, there's a singer there, and just like scroll past it, than it is when you see someone sing like in a bar somewhere, because it's not like you can just scroll past that. Like you hear it, they become part of the environment, and like you really
Hmm.
are forced to look at them and pay attention to them and really focus on them. So like you still need to have a social media presence, but you also must be doing live shows whenever possible. Like if there's a gig, you take it. Always take it. Doesn't matter what's going on. When someone offers you an opportunity to perform, you take it. Unless you got laryngitis or have a vocal hemorrhage, you take it. Okay, like you don't
Hmm.
say no to any opportunity because you don't know if you'll get that opportunity again. So say yes to every opportunity. That's what all the artists should be doing if they're not doing. But yes, they must have social media presence and also must keep performing whenever possible. And as far as like the future of like what I'm doing, um, I can tell you right now in the near future, I'm gonna be putting out a song, hopefully in January, because I am going back to the studio this month. So
Okay.
there's gonna be some new music. I expect that January. Also, every single live performance that I do, I film and I repost it to my YouTube channel. So you might
Okay.
want to go there. My YouTube channel once again is Bryant Nfinity. Literally the way you see it on the screen is exactly how it's spelled on YouTube. So just like type that. It's also linked in my Facebook if you want to go there. But that's one thing I'm doing in the near future. In the near future is just
Mhm.
like doing more shows and putting out more music, doing more collabs too. I want to do collabs because I haven't done an official collab with any artist yet, so I want to do that.
Mhm. Nice. One thing I want to point out to the folks who are watching this, cultivating and appreciating your audience is also important. One thing I noticed about you, I don't know how often you appear live, but you acknowledged the crowd, you thanked them, you brought them in closer. You and that's why I was thinking, well, gee, we're standing around outside enjoying this young man's music, and my mind is like, where's his CD? I still think people need to put out something to for people to take home. I'm obviously wrong because people aren't doing it, but I still think since you had us all captivated watching and enjoying your music, that if you had said, my CDs are for sale for $10, I think you would have gotten a line of people buying those CDs. I'm Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, some people like probably don't even have a CD player anymore, to be completely honest, and
Oh
but
no.
there's still ways that people can hear the music because like I can always make business cards. I actually have some business cards that I should have brought with me. But basically they
Mhm.
have like a QR code. You can just scan it with your phone and it takes people directly to my Spotify and my YouTube and they can just
Okay.
go there. Because like that's how artists make money is through Spotify and YouTube. And like whenever you see an artist that get a viral music video, like for example, Lil Nas X, he does some crazy stuff in his music videos. Those
Yeah.
videos go viral. I can assure you, he's probably made about $4 or $5 million off of those music videos. I got like 100 or 200 million views in like a
Mhm.
few days. Like because they get paid from the ads that play before the music video and the ads that play after the music videos. So like artists, they make money off of that too. And also, of course, they'll always get paid for streams. Not a lot of money, but still, like they do get
Mhm.
paid once a song gets streamed in like the hundreds of thousands of millions of people once they start listening to that.
Mhm.
So that's one
Okay.
thing that I could have done to get people to hear it.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Well, I
I just
do. So I'm going to look for your new music in January, but I'm also going to encourage you to continue with the covers as well. It seems that many artists who are discovered on YouTube are young people who are doing covers. You know, I know that's how, I don't even have to mention any names, just so many people who are out here with big careers now have been discovered singing covers. And of course, the original music, I mean, that's just icing on the cake because when I'm hoping that the songwriting uh, residuals haven't changed, where if you own the song, you make more money. I would hope that that's still true.
usually it
Is
is.
that
It
true?
depends. Like if you have a record label that might be greedy and want to take all your money, it
I hope not.
depends. Yeah, like you just said, like I know all I can speak on is for me is that of course if I wrote the song, I get all the money from the songwriting because like
Hmm.
I wrote it, and so like that's something I don't really worry about. And even if I were to get with a label, I would still add that in the contract. I want to own my masters, and when I mean by own my masters, that's basically like the final version of the song that is released to the public for everyone to hear. I want to own that because if you don't own that, you don't own your music. That means the record label owns it, and even some
Yeah,
record
I thought
labels.
the record label. I thought the record label owned that because I used to play songs. I used to interview musicians when I first started. I would interview the musicians and play a song, and they would give me, they send me their CD. They say, "Yeah, play cut number 3. You have my permission." Yay! I would play the song, and then Google would say, like, "You can't play that. You can't do this." And then I realized that although it was the musician's song, he wrote it, but the record company owned the I guess the actual recording. So even though he can give me permission, the record company didn't give me permission. So it's really strange and kind of a scary thing. There's so much money involved that you just have to be so careful, you know. And I do
Right.
know you can buy your masters. I know after you get to a certain point, but I don't know if you can start out doing that. I don't know. Things have changed since I was learning about the music business years ago.
Honestly, I'm not sure there's any like contract I would sign that wouldn't include me owning my masters because I never want to get into a position where the record label says, "Okay, you cannot play this song here and there, and like we can also sell your masters to anyone we want, and then the music's no longer yours." But like, nah, I will not have that. I I refuse. I refuse to let like the record label
Mhm.
like own my masters. I'm gonna own that, and they can get a piece of the profit. But at the end of the day, it's going to be mine, and I'm going
I
to
got
share
you.
the profits because you guys helped me promote it and create it. But at the end of the day, you wouldn't have this record without me. You
Mhm.
wouldn't be a hit without me. So I'm gonna take the credit for it. And like if they don't like
Okay,
it,
I like that
like
attitude.
free to drop me, and I'll go somewhere else because
Mhm.
they're not gonna own my work. Like
You
it's
know,
mine.
the real money is in the
Yeah,
publishing
that
because
yes.
when Berry Gordy sold Motown and when Herb Alpert sold A&M Records, they sold, they sold their company, but they kept the publishing. The publishing is always separate, and that is the actual ownership of the song because they know when you listen to these songs on the TV commercials and on YouTube, that's where the publishing comes into play. Like I heard an old soul song. I'm like, that song is so old that how can they imagine kids of
What
today
commercial
would, but they're
would
not.
be?
Obviously, the commercial was aimed at people in my age group, and I'm thinking there's money for whoever artist recorded that. He's probably in his 80s making bank right now because they're reviving a song from the 1950s or 60s or whatever. That's where the big money is in the publishing. Because if you can get your song covered or put into commercials or movies, that is gigantic money.
Oh,
That is,
absolutely.
yeah. So, yeah, you hold on to as much as you can while you can because you can work it and then make even more money.
And then like some of these artists that are deceased, like they can still get money. Like if it's in the will, then like
Mhm.
their money is gonna go to like the money that they made for their songs is just gonna go to their family. And so like they can
Mhm.
set that up where like when they die, they can keep making the money forever.
Exactly. Exactly. Musicians have I don't know if they're called trusts or whatever, but yeah, I mean I know a gentleman who's deceased, Oscar Brown Jr. He was a jazz artist. He's deceased. People are still recording his music. His children, I think, own the copyrights to his songs. It was passed down to them or whatever, so they can benefit. And I think it's a beautiful thing. So, are we going to get a chance to hear some of your music today?
I'm singing it, so yeah. Let me get my water since I'm gonna be singing.
Okay. And I know you wanted to change some of the controls. You go to the cam and
I see.
mic. Yeah, turn off the. Yeah, you know what to do. He's going to
Yeah.
make some adjustments, folks. Technical
And then I'll
adjustments.
be singing. Okay. All right, let me get this ready. Now, this song that I'm about to perform for you is called I Don't Want to Fall in Love. And I wrote this song like probably, I forgot when I wrote it. Sometime like early this year. And
Okay.
then and then I started singing it, and I realized this sounds kind of good. It's kind of like a rap almost. It's like a rap that I'm singing. And so yeah, here's I Don't Want to Fall in Love right here. I don't want to fall in love no more. No, no. Maybe not ever. Maybe I'll regret it later, but who knows? Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? I'm not afraid of new love, but I am afraid of the pain. I enjoy the company of myself. I don't gotta worry about nobody else. Don't gotta consider another person dependent on every decision I make. I don't wanna surrender to the love. I'll give up my independence to the romance. For the first time in my life, I can honestly say that I love myself. And I know who I am, and what I stand for, and I know what I want and what I'm suitable. I don't wanna deal with the BS of relationships anymore. I don't wanna fall in love no more. Oh no, no, maybe not ever. Maybe I'll regret it later, but who knows? Who knows, who knows, who knows? Who knows what the future holds? I'm not afraid of the unknown, but I am afraid to be alone. Who knows what the future holds? I'm not afraid of new love, but I am afraid of a pain. I swear to God I'm happy, but this feeling comes from a place of pain. My heart just don't beat the same, 'cause I've been used so many times. About one too many lives. I've been scarred by verbal knives, and that's why I gotta keep moving super. No, no, maybe not ever. Maybe I'll regret it later, but who knows? 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 I'm not afraid of new love, but I am afraid of a pain. Who knows what the future holds? I'm not afraid of the unknown, but I am afraid to be alone. Maybe I'll regret it later, but who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? Maybe I'll regret it later, but who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? All right, that's the end of that.
Nice. Super nice. I really, really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Now, how'd you write it? You write the words first or the melody first? And how does the music, I mean, do you play the music too?
No, basically what happens is I either have a custom beat maker, work with a producer, or I have a or I'll order a beat online because you can actually like buy like pre-made beats, and I might get a beat from
Hmm.
someone. Like in this case, like this beat was purchased by somebody, and I forgot the official name of the producer. But
Hmm.
when I remember who it is, I will credit them because they did amazing work for the beat they made. This wasn't like a custom beat, like
Hmm.
either, but basically, basically what artists do is we either have a producer make a beat for us, we buy beats, or if we have an artist that can, or like we have artists that can create their own beat. That's what they'll probably do. But for this case, this is a pre-made beat that I purchased online because it just sounded
Hmm.
really good. And for the songwriting process, I heard the beat, and then the beat inspired a vibe, and then I wrote that vibe down on paper, and then it became a song.
Oh,
And that makes
wow.
sense.
Are you able to write the musical notes?
Sometimes, but I don't
Mm,
do that all the time because like it's it almost becomes too tedious to do it. But unless I
mm,
have very specific requests, like I'll tell like when I want to have a custom beat, I'll tell the producer, put it in this key and like I want it in this tempo. Like I want like to have 100 BPM, wanted to have a key of like A flat or something, and tell them
hmm.
what kind of emotions I want to invoke. Like, okay, I want this song to be danceable, and I want this song to be played in clubs. Or I might tell them, I want this to be like a cinematic ballad. So imagine the
Mm,
Titanic but modernized. I might that's an example of like a song that I might work on because I want to do a ballad for original song because I haven't released like a ballad as an original song yet, and I want to do that for the next project for my future projects. And so my
So you
songwriting
do have to
process,
know what you're. So you do have to know what you're doing musically.
yeah. There's a lot
Yeah.
of artists that don't understand music theory, but they're able to get away with it just because they're like very good songwriters and just naturally able to sing really well. But if you
Mm,
want to get guaranteed results every time and not just be like, oh, I was winging it, it's good to understand music theory. Like people are
yeah.
like, oh, I'm at a key, but they don't even know what key they're singing in. Like,
Oh, yeah.
no wonder you're out of key because you don't know the key.
Well,
Like,
one thing
you're
I noticed. One
like,
thing I noticed, if there's a singer who doesn't know much about music, a lot of times they end up sounding like the producer. So the
oh
producer
yeah,
is like creating the sound, and the singer is just, I shouldn't say just singing, but I have seen where singers, they change producers and their whole sound changes. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a
oh
good
yeah.
thing, you know?
Sometimes what happens is the producers or people in the label will coach them on how to sing. They'd be like, sing it this way, sing it that way, take out that riff. Or they might sing a song, be like, okay, you're a pop artist, but that sounds too soulful, so change that. Like, we do verse two. And like, what? Like, that is like the most subjective thing ever. Because, like, what?
Mhm.
That's a long story, but it's very subjective. So, like, sometimes like you get coached on how to sing it because like there's been songs that I've been like told how to sing like don't add this run, and I'm like
Mhm.
listen here. Well, I don't literally tell them this, but when I think to myself is like you picked me because I had a very specific sound, and when I use that specific sound, don't try to change it into something that is not. Because like if you wanted a different artist, you should have hired a different artist and trying to morph me into like your vision because that's not how it's gonna work. Like this doesn't make sense. It's like that's like trying to buy um it's like trying to buy let me see. It's like trying to buy a SUV but then
Mhm.
stripping down the parts of it and trying to make it into like
A
a
motorcycle.
convertible. Yeah, like or a
But he
motorcycle,
was,
just reducing it. Like you shouldn't be reducing it because I'm not the original. Like because like you wanted a specific thing, but why try to change it?
but here's the thing though. Sometimes you do have to play along
Yeah.
if people are guiding your career because there's a gentleman named Howard Burchett, and he's like a musicologist. And he told, well, he had this I was helping him with a production. He does talks on famous musicians. So he did a talk on Marvin Gaye. I didn't know this until Howard told me this, but Marvin Gaye wanted to be a jazz singer. He didn't
He
want to
can
be a
do
soul singer. He wanted to
it. He
be
can
a
do
jazz singer. And Barry Gordy was insisting because the ladies were like, "Oh my God!" He knew that he'd be a great soul, R&B singer if he wanted to. But so what they had to compromise because Marvin refused to just do soul music. So Barry Gordy had to let him do a jazz album, and usually they didn't sell very well. I mean, they did all right. And then, per his contract, he would have to produce a soul record, and of course, he'd have number one hits, and Barry Gordy would be thrilled. And then Marvin would say, "Okay, let me do my jazz album," and then he'd let him do a jazz album. and then of course it wouldn't sell that much. It would do all right. And then he'd, do what Berry Gordy wanted and do the soul record. So sometimes you have to, I guess, work along with people. Sometimes I guess it depends on who you are. Because I do remember when Whitney Houston was first discovered, she was molded at first for the pop market, not the R&B market. And then she got, I guess, blacker as her career, flourished. But they wanted her to be, because I don't know if you remember her first album. She looked very, I
I
don't know what
saw
the
the
word is.
cover, the album cover of it. Like I
Yeah,
remember the
kind of
album.
like almost racially ambiguous, kind of like not real black, but not,
Hmm.
you know, they wanted to market her to white people first.
I
I should
mean,
say the general public.
I almost
So
thought it
I,
was like the opposite at first because what I almost thought normally like the white people in the music industry during that time usually want black people to stick in their lane, like only sing soul because that's what you're good at,
mhm,
and don't sing pop. And almost nowadays it's almost like that too because like for example, Ariana Grande, she makes a lot of R&B songs, but her music is constantly put in the pop category. And I'm like, if a different artist, let's say
yeah,
let's say like if Alicia Keys made the same exact song Ariana Grande made, they put her in the R&B
R&B.
category. But it's simply because she's black, and it's like the exact same song, same chorus, same notes, same everything. But if it's the exact same song because Ariana Grande is white, they're gonna assume pop. Alicia Keys is
Mhm.
black, they're gonna assume R&B. Like they
You are
can do both.
absolutely right. You are absolutely right. That's why it's so confusing. There are artists like, back when I used to buy records at record shops when I could. I remember artists like Ray Charles. I would see his records in the easy listening market section. I'd see him in the soul section. I would see him in the jet. It all depended on the record. I would see him in the country music section sometimes, and it was just hard to really figure out where he belonged. Sometimes you just shouldn't even worry about labels, but I guess it's important for marketing.
Yeah. Well, also, yeah, and also like if you want to categorize your music for a streaming service, you would want to
Mhm,
people want to know what they're looking for. Like someone who wants to hear pop music, if you don't fit into a single genre, then you can't look for it. Because like people like multiple genres, but sometimes they just want to hear like pop music on this day.
mhm,
Or some days they want to hear hip hop, or some days they want to hear like more ballads, and then this day they want to
mhm.
hear R&B. Like I'm the same way too. Like my music tastes fluctuate day by day. There's some days I just want to hear like gospel, and there's some days I want to hear rock. Like believe it or
I'm the
not, like
same
even
way.
if I listen to some rock, but yes, I do listen to rock occasionally. Or they want to hear EDM music occasionally,
Mhm.
and then some days I want to hear dance hall. And dance hall that's like reggae, like African inspired
Breakdown.
music, like reggae beats.
Mhm,
Um, like because people need to know where they belong. That way they can easily be searched for and categorized. But I like to say for my music, I want to do at least one album that like in every genre. Like I want to do like genre specific albums. Like okay, this is my pop album. This is my, and then I do another album that's like okay, this is my R&B soul album. This is my rock album. This is my ballad album, and this is my reggae album, rock album. Like I want to do like album specific genre specific albums in the future.
mhm. That would actually be awesome. That would really be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could do that with a record label. You might have to be your own artist in order to do that. I don't know. But then Ray Charles
It
did it.
depends.
He came out with a country album. He's done jazz albums. He's done
It
duets.
depends on the label.
Mhm,
Like, it really depends on the record label because, like, sometimes the record label will say, don't sing, don't, what might not give the artist permission to make the kind of music they want. But if an artist
mhm,
sells well enough, or if they have been given creative control as part of like their contract, they can make whatever music they want. And like for example, Tori Kelly, she's mainly like a pop R&B artist, but she
Hmm.
did a gospel album, which is like completely unexpected, and it was like great. And then we also
Hmm.
had like, Lady Gaga. She normally does super pop, like
Hmm.
hyper pop. That's what they call it. That's basically the newest genre of pop. It almost sounds like synth wave and retro wave combined. It's now called hyper
Okay,
pop.
you know
That's
all the
basically
terms.
the generation
Okay.
of pop music. And basically, she also did she did two jazz albums too, even though she's known
She
for
did?
mainly. Yeah, she did two jazz albums with Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett, that's right. I haven't heard it yet. I heard about that.
Yes, both like
Yeah,
Lady Gaga's voice sounds amazing in jazz. Like it's
I
like
have
she's
to
singing
check
jazz
that out.
and swing, and like it truly shows what her voice can do. And I'm like, wow, she's just like
I'm
nailing it.
I'm gonna check that out tonight. I'm gonna definitely
Yes,
check that out
great.
because I know she did record with Tony Bennett, and yeah, my sister told me about it. I need to check that out for
She
sure.
was excellent.
Absolutely. Well, I want to respect your time, and I really, really, Bryant, love your music, love your
Thank you.
presentation. I love the fact that you are looking out for yourself. You know what you're doing, and you're going for it. So I'm going to keep my eye on you, and you're going to. Has Clayton have had any big stars to come out of Clayton? I'm trying to think.
Hmm. People like to say Scotty McCreery came from Clayton, but he was really like from Garner. But he did compete in Clayton
Right.
Idol, and I think he won it. Actually,
Mhm.
he won Clayton Idol like before he got on American Idol. So Scotty
Okay.
McCreery, like he's probably the closest thing that Clayton has because Garner is really a neighboring city. So he came to Clayton, and like his mom was actually Scotty McCreery's mom was actually the judge when I was doing Clayton Idol for the very first
You
time.
can't do that. What?
Yeah, she was the judge. Sky McCrae's mom was
Uh-uh.
judging me. Like this after he won because those after he won, like Sky McCrae couldn't be there, so his mom was filling in for him. And like he also
Okay.
did like a video package too for the show, and like it was a lot of fun. But
Hmm.
but like basically like she was there to judge
Hmm.
it. And she said that my voice like had a lot of power, but like I
Hmm.
just needed to like work on control. This is the first year I did it. The very first year I did Clayton
Okay.
Idol, I didn't win. Second time I did it, I did win.
Hmm.
So um, so like I just took notes on that and then worked on my voice and then came back and now
Hmm.
voila, I won.
Nice. And I like the fact that you're studying what you're doing. You're just not out here just, doing whatever. The fact that you're actually putting in work and actually now just because you put in the work doesn't mean you're going to make it. But I do
Of
hope
course,
that you do make it because
thank
I have been shocked by people who I just knew they were going to make it and they didn't. But then you turn around and somebody just comes out of the blue and just blows everybody away. And it's like, whoa, where did he or she come from? So it's really
you.
hard. It's hard to really know who's going to make it and who's not. But I'll bet you one thing because you already know what you're doing and you're working towards your goal. I think you have more of a chance to make it than most.
Good. I hope so. I
Yeah.
really do. Like I hope that all the promoting and marketing and like the shows is not in vain. It's actually like leading to bigger things. Like so far, I
Mhm.
actually believe that it is, but like still, like I just like I want like for my career, I just want to do the Super Bowl. That's like my number one dream. Do the Super Bowl, sing the national anthem at a presidential inauguration, win
Don't
at least one
don't
Grammy.
forget. Don't forget we have a championship hockey team in the area, the Hurricanes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you
they
should
have
aim for
people.
them. Yeah, sing the national anthem over there. And in fact, it wouldn't hurt if you learned the Canadian national anthem, because I can imagine if the now I don't know if they still do this, but when I was a kid, we would watch the Chicago Blackhawks. If they played the Montreal Canadiens or the Toronto Maple Leafs, they would sometimes do both. Well, they would almost always do both national anthems,
Yeah.
And so my thing is, if you're going to do hockey, then go ahead and learn. I'm assuming that Montreal and Toronto are still playing. I mean, I don't really follow sports anymore, but I mean, if they're still in the league, NHL, I think it is, then that might be kind of cool for you to tell them, hey, I'd love to do the national anthem for the Hurricanes, but I also happen to know the Canadian national anthem as well. And they'll be like,
That would be weird. You
okay,
think me not being from Canada, like I'm like, can't you call Celine Dion to do it? She
well,
can
she is
do
Canadian.
it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Actually, they have a really nice national anthem, by the way. It's really nice. So
Yeah.
go ahead and learn that. It's a nice song. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be awesome
I'll
if
look
you if
into
you
it.
if you do that. Yeah. So I'm going to end the show here. Do you have any shout outs before we go?
No, I don't.
Shout out to your fans.
Shout out to my fans. Well, I don't have that many, but those of you that are here that are watching, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Those of you that want to come to the show, which I'm doing December 17th, like, thank you. Anyone that's ever played my music, thank you. Anyone that has ever like recommended me for like music opportunities, thank you. It feels like I'm giving a Grammy acceptance speech. Thank my mom, thank my dad, thank the Lord, thank grandma, grandpa, everyone, my aunts, my uncles, because I know they're watching it because they see it, all my performances. But yeah, I'd say shout
Nice.
out to them. I acknowledge them all. I see them all, although I'm barely on Facebook. Like I'm, I'm not totally away. I know what's going on. But yeah,
Oh, you mentioned December 17th. What's going
yeah.
on?
December 17th, I'm doing a show in Durham called Third Friday, and and they haven't told me the official location that I'm performing at, but I know it's in Durham, and it's either going to be at the Durham History Museum, the parlor at Durham, and then there's a third location that I don't fully know about yet. But yes,
Awesome. Awesome. So I'll try to turn out for that. So
cool,
wonderful. So yeah. So thanks again for Brian for coming on the show. Love to have you. You can always drop by. And also, I have a daily show called Bull City Hangout, and you can always drop in there as well. So don't
awesome.
go anywhere. I'm going to end the show, but I'm going to take you off camera and then ask you a question when we're done. So thanks again, Bryant Nfinity, for being on the
Yes,
show, and we'll see you real soon.
thank you for
So
having
stay
me.
tuned. Absolutely. Very happy to have you. Wonderful, wonderful artist. Remember this name, Bryant Williams, aka Bryant Nfinity. So I'm going to end the show here. If you'd like to be a guest on TV Skywriter, just contact me. You know how I have it in the show notes. I'll put it in the comments. Also, just know that you don't have to be a North Carolinian to be on the show. I've interviewed people in different countries. So if you're a writer, musician, excuse me, musician, even like politician, or just someone who's just interesting and has something to talk about, contact me and let's talk. And with that, have a beautiful day. Ciao for now, and I will see you real soon.